talking about you, mentioned you are the next Lomachenko or maybe better. So you are really young. How's the feeling?
It's crazy to be compared to Lomachenko. It's a blessing because I look up to him. I picked up a lot of his techniques, so it's crazy to be compared to him. But I don't really see myself as a little Lomachenko. I see myself as Bam Rodriguez.
Okay, how is a normal day when you are with your brother? You're boxing, you're fighting. What are you doing in a normal day
Outside of
with
boxing?
Joshua? Yeah, outside of boxing. Yeah, outside of boxing.
We're gonna just go to the coffee shop and have a coffee and just talk, but we don't do anything crazy. Just we're real chill people. We don't do much. We don't even go out that much. So it's just go get a coffee and go back home.
Jesse,
You
you have the big win against Quadras. You had the big win against Sarungi side. Two of the best guys in that weight class for the last 10 years. There are some that might say, you know what, he got those two big wins, he got the world title. You might be overlooking this guy. He's reading his press clippings, he's thinking about what he did, he's getting a lot of hype, and maybe Gonzalez sneaks up on him and catches him by surprise. How do you prevent yourself from not taking, or from, to take this opponent just as seriously as you've taken others, even though he doesn't have their type of accomplishments that, that maybe he thinks you are taking a little bit lightly because of what you've done recently?
Yeah, I don't take any opponent lightly at this point. They all want to take my title, so I have to train even harder than my last fight. And I feel better for this fight than I did with the wrong side fight. So if he's expecting me to go in there and just take him lightly, that's not the case, because I did train even harder than my last two fights. So come September 17th, everyone's gonna see that I am the real deal.
So how can you maintain the focus on him when, admittedly, he is not on the level, at least in his accomplishments, of what Quadras or Rungi side were?
The way I see it is he's just trying to take my title. So any fight from here on is gonna be getting tougher and tougher, and that's the way I see it. So I don't take any opponent lightly.
How much pressure to be the undercard of one of the biggest fights in the last years, and also how excited were you when you were noticed of that opportunity?
Yeah, to be on this platform, it's probably the biggest card of boxing at this point. So for me to be the co-main for that, it's a perfect opportunity to show the world who I am.
Eddie, you fought twice in Vegas before, haven't you?
Yes, it wasn't a top rank bubble.
No, can you compare those fight weeks to the magnitude of this week?
Oh yeah, for those two fights, I didn't have any press. I had one conversation on the laptop with the top ranked team, but I mean this is crazy. I didn't expect all this. They told me I had media day today, but I didn't expect this. But I mean, I had no problem with it. It keeps my mind off of the fight, off of the dieting. So I have no problem with this. It's better for me than just being there in the room.
Eddie, do you remember the first time you watched Bam fight, and if so, what jumped out? What did you see? What kind of potential?
Yeah, honestly, like, I think I don't want to give him a big head, but Kevin Rooney over there, like, hey, how are you? And obviously, Mr. Honda and Kemi over there, and people been talking about Jesse Rodriguez for a long time, and like Kevin would say to me, honestly, like, Robert Garcia would say, I'm telling you about this kid, like, you've got to look at this kid, and like, and you sort of get to a point where you realise, like, why hasn't someone snapped this kid up? Because he was at a point where it wasn't like he was 2 or 3-0. He was almost ready to go for a title, and we watched him on our show with Mikey Garcia against Jesse Vargas. He boxed and looked good, but it was like against lesser opposition. So okay, we're not, and then like the opportunity come out to fight Quadras. That was really the moment where it was like, and they just snapped it and said no problem, and like he won so easily. And that was really the moment. We knew he could fight before then. He boxed on the Mikey Garcia card in Fresno, but that was the victory where everyone sort of thought, wow. And then the Rungvisai fight, everything that Robert Garcia, everything that Kemi, everything that Mr. Honda had been saying for all these years, you just see it and you think, wow. And it's one of the fastest rises, I think, to domination of divisions I've ever seen. And it's so remarkable that you've got a guy that I would back to beat any fighter at 108, 112 and 115 pounds. And I'm sorry, that actually goes for Chocolatito and Estrada. Two greats. Like, I feel Chocolatito's getting better and better. I would back Jesse Rodriguez to beat those guys now. And it's so unusual as well, where you get a guy going backwards to become a multi-weight world champion. Like, when in the history, I mean, you guys will know, I'm sure it's happened before, but very unusual to see a guy win a world title, drop down a weight and win a world title, and drop down a weight and maybe win another world
That's what the
championship.
women do mostly.
Yeah, but all multi-division world championships in
Mhm.
men's boxing generally go up through the divisions.
Yeah.
But I actually like him at 115 pounds. Honestly, like I feel like he's a young man. You know, he quite likes his food in between fights as well. He don't mind putting a bit of weight on. He's talking about dieting this week. He wants to come down to 112, 108. But I think, you know, you talk about Canelo going 175 back down to 168. I actually think 108 would be quite brutal for him. Now, I'm sure he'd make it, but like, I just think it's so exciting that you're in a division where literally he's got a very tough fight on Saturday. Honestly, Israel Gonzalez gave Chocolatito a great fight. He probably could have got the decision against Calify in Monaco on one of our shows. He's a very, very good fighter, and these are sometimes the tougher fights because we're here. Oh, it's great to be on this platform. Oh, yeah. And you got a kid in Israel Gonzalez who goes, you know what? If I beat this kid, all of a sudden I've changed my life. So he's got to be switched on.
Isn't there more money though, and like more names if he's fighting at 115 than anywhere all the way down at 1?
Yeah, but I think now Jesse Rodriguez is the draw.
That's my point.
You
So
know,
he can
yeah.
fight at why go down?
He can get because he wants to become a multi-weight
Oh, I see.
champion. That's the draw. Like I feel like if you've beaten Quadras, if you've beaten Rungvisai, the only next step for him at 115
Estrada.
is the Estrada Chocolatito winner. Actually, he could fight the winner or loser of that fight. And you know, Tekken, Mr. Honda has Chocolatito, and I keep talking about that fight, and obviously everyone's friends, and you know, but in time, that might be a fight that's so big that both fighters go, yeah, you know, we want to be a part of that. But honestly, like this is the fastest rise, and the activity's key. You know, February against Quadras, you know, Rungvisai, now again in September. All being well on Saturday, he'll go again in December, and he'll be fighter of the year. You know, unquestionably.
What about Ray Martinez? Both of you guys.
Another great
It will
fight.
be a huge fight.
Yeah, Ray Martinez, Sonny Edwards.
But let's go for Ray Martinez.
Yeah, I mean,
Please, both of you guys.
it's a huge fight, you know, and the problem that Jesse's going to have is no longer a secret. You know, it's no longer, oh, there's this kid Jesse Rodriguez, who's he?
Yeah.
Now you're going to get champions who go, I'm not fighting Jesse Rodriguez.
If he go-
Or you have to pay them a lot of money to fight Jesse Rodriguez.
Yeah.
If he goes in December,
Please, let me
is he the
hear.
main event?
Please, let me hear. Bam. What about Ray Martinez, please?
That'd be a great fight, two Mexicans, and I believe it'll be a mega fight when it does happen. If it does happen, Ray Martinez, he's a great champion, and I believe I have what it takes to beat him.
And is he main event in December? If that happens?
On the Chocolatito Estrada,
Gotcha.
no.
On
But
the
then,
undercard of that.
yes, but then moving forward, 100% main event. You know, I mean, he's main evented now, February. You know, it's really because of the activity. Sometimes he'll have to sit as a co-main event. You know, because obviously we have other fights that have been planned to headline, but really December would be the last time that he's not.
There's
main
no
event.
shame in fighting on the undercard.
It's Chocolatito Estrada, yeah, but he wants to fight the winner. You know, I mean, it's quite unusual to be a guy fighting on the undercard that could beat both guys.
So what are the odds that he faces the winner?
I mean, that's you know, for me, I think that's the natural fight is to fight the winner of that fight. But he also talks about going down to 112 to fight for the WBO. Then he could unify against Sonny Edwards. He could unify against Ray Martinez.
Yeah.
He could try and become undisputed at 112. He could try and become undisputed at 115. He could drop down and fight Kyoguchi at 108. You know, or our South African champion just had a brilliant fight in Mexico. I mean, like the fights are unbelievable.
Yeah, so
Like,
That would be an unbelievable.
I know.
I mean,
I didn't even think about
I know.
that. Jesus.
So, I mean, obviously, you know, Ben has a lot of star potential, especially being so young, and we never really had a star fighter in the U.S. That size. I mean, Chocolatito wasn't a star, you know, beyond boxing fans. Of course,
Yeah,
they didn't speak
Carvajal, pretty good
Yeah.
star.
Yeah, but not stars. I'm talking about like actual like household names, like big stars.
He got $1 million.
All right, I don't care what you said. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Huge star.
him speaking English too helps a lot. But how do you solve like guys being big stars in that weight? Does he have to go like higher up, or can you just does it not matter?
I just think the size of the fights that are in and the challenges that they take, you are under more pressure to do more impressive stuff at that weight class. But people love watching Jesse Rodriguez. I mean, in boxing, I think right now, if you said to most people, who's your favourite fighter out there right now, you know, he'd be in everybody's top 5, you know, in boxing. But we need to take that brand, and firstly, the first job is to make him fill arenas and in time stadiums in San Antonio. That's the main job. You build him in your home city. And now, like, this undercard is a massive opportunity for him, because even we've seen, like, for me and our business, being involved with Canelo, how that fan base can cling on to you as well, and they'll do that to Jesse. They'll watch the show, they'll watch him fight, and they'll become fans. So he's going to add to that fan base himself on Saturday night, and we've got to keep building. The activity is key. You know, he's still young, he can fight. We don't want to burn him out, but at the same time, like, he's going to end up having 4 big fights this year. You know, and that's impressive. Any young fighter should be fighting 3, 4 big championship fights a year.
I mean, I walk around 135 right now, so imagine 5 years from now.
Imagine Jesse Rodriguez against Inoue.
Hey, Pacquiao,
Wow.
Pacquiao started at 108. I mean, I know he was
Yeah,
like 16
yeah,
years
yeah.
old, but.
I'm not sure he's going to go up to 154.
It's possible.
So, for you right now, it's not a secret that in boxing, in today's boxing, sometimes for the fans it's better to watch the combination of the name and stand than if there's available. For you, it would be a great fight even to fight the loser of Chocolatito and Gallo.
Honestly, I have no focus on that right now. September 17th is the main goal, is to get past Israel Gonzalez, and then after that we can see where we go from there. But I can't overlook this fight. This is a huge fight for me, probably bigger than my last 2 fights. So I gotta take it just as serious as those fights. So
Why is that? Why is this bigger than those 2 fights?
because Israel Gonzalez is a tough opponent, I can't overlook him. Maybe some people expect they probably do think that I am overlooking him, but I'm coming into this fight even more confident than my last 2 fights, and I've trained just as hard, if not harder.
I think it's so important because everyone's talking about what's next, and I mean, really, he has the whole world at his feet, and these are the kind of fights that sometimes, you know, and also the pressure to look good, because you know how fickle people are in boxing.
No.
He can go and, you know, beat Quadras, beat Rungvisai, and everyone's like, wow, Jesse Rodriguez, this is, and then all of a sudden doesn't look great on Saturday, and everyone goes, it's all hype. Do you know what I mean? So you imagine going out there and putting on a blistering performance on a stage like this and keeping that momentum, you know, going into the December fight, and then 2023 is the year of Jesse Rodriguez. Like, I really feel like the year where he becomes huge stuff.
Eddie does make the point that with the 2 wins you've got in the bank, a potential victory on Saturday, and again, if it all goes well, another potential victory in December. 4 fights at a high level, it's highly likely, at the very least, you'll be one of the finalists for Fight of the Year, if not be the winner. Does that mean something to you to get? I mean, I've talked to guys where they say they want to win fighter. There's other guys say they don't really care. What's your perspective on it? It's a pretty big deal. It seems.
Yeah, I've never really.
It's like you're the MVP of boxing.
Yeah, I've never really, had that as a goal. But once I got the media award, that's when my mindset changed. It made me more motivated in the gym to come out and perform. And come September 17th, I'm really gonna solidify that I am Fighter of the Year. And even after this fight, I'm not gonna need December. Of course, I might fight December, but come September 17th, that's all that's gonna be needed to go out there and show everyone that I'm Fighter of the Year.
So if you don't fight in December and you're done for the year, and you're saying I beat Sarungi Quadras and Israel Gonzalez, you feel like you've done enough to make your case that you're Fighter of the Year?
Yeah, with the performance that I'm gonna put on Saturday night, people they're gonna have no question.
Bam, you're currently ranked in the top 10 for Sporting News' 25 under 25. Who do you think is the best fighter under 25 right now?
I would give it to Shakur Stevenson.
After Bam.
Yeah.